Hello everyone. Today in this video, let us see what is reverse charge mechanism under GST. So here under GST, who is liable to levy and collect tax? Whether the supplier of goods and services or the recipient of goods and services? Yes, the tax will be collected by the supplier of goods and services. Say, for example, you go to shop and buy some things. So the price you pay to the shopkeeper includes GST, isn't it? Yes. So you are the recipient of goods and the shopkeeper will be the supplier of goods in this case. So the supplier, that is a shopkeeper, he collects the tax from you and he remits it to the government. Yes, usually, generally, GST will be levied and collected by the supplier of goods and services. This is a simple example I have given, right? But there is an exception to this, that is reverse charge mechanism. So let us see what is reverse charge mechanism now. Here, in reverse charge mechanism, it is a process under which the GST will be levied and collected by the recipient of goods instead of supplier of goods and services. Right? Just now I have given the example. Who will levy the tax here? Shopkeeper. Shopkeeper will be the supplier of goods. Right? But under reverse charge mechanism, recipient or receiver of goods is liable to levy and collect GST. Now you may have the doubt, what is the reason in and which all cases, right? Yes, usually when the supplier supplies goods to a person and the supplier will be the unregistered dealer, right? As per the act, only the registered dealer, who is registered under GST Act is responsible to collect, levy and collect GST. Suppose a supplier is not registered, he is not registered under the act. For example, his turnover is below 40 lakhs. If aggregate turnover is below 40 lakhs, he need not register under GST, right? Then that register will be called unregistered dealer. Unregistered dealer, right? Yes. If unregistered dealer supplies goods to any other receiver of the goods, in such cases, unregistered dealer cannot collect the tax. He cannot levy the tax. In such cases, the tax will be levied by the recipient of goods. This holds good in the case of supply of agricultural products. For example, a shopkeeper purchases some agricultural products from local agriculturist. So agriculturists usually they will not be registered. But these agriculturists will supply the goods to shopkeeper. So who will be the supplier when the agriculturist sells the crops to the shopkeeper? Here agriculturist will be the supplier of goods, right? But agriculturist cannot levy the tax. Why? Because he is not registered under GST, right? In such cases, the tax will be avoided. Either supplier has to collect or the receiver has to collect the tax, right? Since here supplier is not registered, receiver of the goods, the person who has purchased the goods from agriculturist should collect the tax and he should pay it to the government. He cannot collect from the agriculturist. Instead, he has to pay the tax out of his own hands, out of his own pocket. Right? Yes. So this concept is called that is reverse charge mechanism. So you can look at the slide over here. It is under the normal tax regime, the supplier collects the tax from the buyer, right? In the usually general tax regime, who will collect the tax? Supplier of the goods will collect the tax and deposit the same to the government after adjusting the tax whatever he has already paid, that is input tax credit on the materials what he has purchased. Right? Whereas under reverse charge mechanism, RCM in short we call, liability to pay the tax shifts from supplier to recipient. ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಯೂಶುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು? ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಗೂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಸರ್ವೀಸಸನ್ನು ಯಾರು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಅವನ ಯಾರು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರ ಅವನಿಂದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ರೆಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆಯಿತಾ? ಆದರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಆ ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರೇ ಅನ್ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ, ಅವನು GST ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾದರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ GSTಯನ್ನು ಲೆವಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದರ ಬದಲಾಗಿ ಯಾರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ? ಯಾರು ಗೂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನ ಅವನು ಗೂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್. ಸಿ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಎ purchases goods from Mr. B. Mr. A purchases goods from Mr. B for rupees 10,000. So who A purchases, right? A purchases. A is a receiver. A is a receiver. He purchases from B. B is a supplier of goods, right? A is a receiver of goods or recipient of goods, and B is a supplier of goods. But A is registered under GST, whereas B is an unregistered dealer. So here B is unregistered dealer. Actually who is supposed to collect GST? ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ವ? ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಬಿ. ಆದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಏನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಅನ್ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಬಿ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಎ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ ಆದ ಬಿಯ ಬದಲಿಗೆ ಯಾರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ? ಎ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ. I have taken one figure. As in the given case, Mr. B is unregistered supplier and cannot collect any tax. Mr. A would be required to pay taxes to the government. Government tax rate is stated there 18% and the worth of the goods supplied is 10,000. So the tax will be 1,800. It is very simple usually. See, ಅವನು ಗೂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿದ್ರೆ 10,000 ಗೂಡ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ, 1,800 ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ಟೋಟಲಿ ಹಿ ವುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪೇಯ್ಡ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್? 11,800. ಯಾರು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದವನು? ಇಫ್ ಎ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್, ಹಿ ಪೇಸ್ 11,800 ಟು ಬಿ, right? But B cannot collect the tax from A here because B is unregistered dealer. ಆಯಿತಾ? ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಎ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು? ಓನ್ಲಿ 10,000. ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ಬಿಗೆ. ಆ 1,800 ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಎ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ರೆಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇದು ಯಾವ ಕೇಸಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ? ಎ ಏನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು? ಎ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್. ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನಾವೇ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಶಾಪಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೇವೆ, ದೌಸ್ ಶಾಪ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ GST. ಅನ್ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಅವರು. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ನಾವು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು? ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೆವಿ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ದಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ when the receiver is registered, whereas supplier is not registered under GST. Okay, this is a very important concept under GST because while computing the aggregate turnover or while determining the taxability of a person, reverse charge mechanism should be considered. Now this is one of the example I have given. Now let us see what are the different other cases. Applicability of reverse charge mechanism. Reverse charge mechanism is applicable in 3 cases. One is that supply from unregistered dealer to a registered dealer. Just now I discussed that point. When a registered dealer purchases goods from unregistered dealer. Here supplier is unregistered, receiver is registered. That case RCM or reverse charge mechanism would apply. The next one is in case of services through e-commerce operators, like online shopping, what we call. In between e-commerce operators, they link the customers and the suppliers of the goods and services. They will come under reverse charge mechanism. And the third one is that supply of certain goods and services specified by CBEC. CBEC means Central Board of Excise and Customs. It has put a list of certain specific commodities which should be charged under reverse charge mechanism only. Okay, now let us see all these 3 points one by one in detail. The first one is that supply from unregistered dealer to a registered dealer. Here unregistered dealer supplies goods to registered dealer. So who should collect the tax? Usually who should collect the tax under GST regime? Supplier. But here supplier is not registered. Who should pay the tax to the government? Receiver of the goods. Since he is registered, he should pay the tax to the government. But one thing you should remember, if a register is, if the dealer is unregistered, if a dealer is unregistered, he can have only intra-state transactions. Intra-state means he can sell the goods only within the state. He cannot sell the goods outside the state. So if a person's turnover is below the taxable limit also, that is threshold limit ಏನಿದೆ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು 40 lakhs ಅಥವಾ 20 lakhs ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಆ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಗಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಸಹ ಅವನು ಇಂಟರ್ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಗೂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಂತಾದರೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಂತಾದರೆ ಅವನು ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಅನ್ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಡೀಲರ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯೇ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ದ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಅದರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆರ್ ಅದರ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಟೆರಿಟರಿ, ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿಲಿ he should register under GST. If he is unregistered, he cannot sell the goods or supply the goods or services outside the state. So the reverse charge mechanism applies when there is intra-state supplies only. Okay. The next one is that the second one, services through e-commerce operators. E-commerce operators, what they do, they supply services, right? Supply services. Then reverse charge will be applicable to the e-commerce operators, like it will plumbing or electric work or land links. All these services will be provided by certain what we call apps, right? They run the apps, they provide all the platform for linking the customers and the supplier of services, right? In between what the act, they, even though they are not the supplier of goods. For example, I have given the example here. Urban Clap provides service of plumbers. ಓಕೆ, ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಪ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಇ-ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್ಸ್. ಇಬೇ ಅಥವಾ ಇದು ಉಂಟಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ಲಿಪ್ಕಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ಥರ ಈ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅದು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ದೇ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ದ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಲಂಬರ್ಸ್, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್, ದೆನ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್, ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್, ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಎಟ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ಯಾವ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ಗೆ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾರು, ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಪ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡರ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅವರಲ್ಲ, ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅವರು ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಲೆವಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇ-ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್. ಸೊ ಇ-ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಲೆವಿ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಈವನ್ ದೋ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ದ ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ ಆಫ್ goods and services. They receive the services on behalf of the customers. In turn, they give the benefit to the customers, right? Therefore, in e-commerce operators also, the reverse charge mechanism will be applicable. Okay, sometimes these e-commerce operators may not have their physical presence in particular state, but they provide the services to that particular state, right? In such cases, what these e-commerce operators should do is, they should appoint one agent in that particular state. If that agent is not there, then he should appoint any representative who will be held liable to pay the GST. Okay, and the third one is that supply of certain goods and services by CBEC. CBEC means, as I told, Central Board of Excise and Customs. It is a superior authority in the country which governs the various rules and regulations regarding GST as well as customs. So they have put a list of certain commodities, specific commodities and services. Those are completely charged under reverse charge mechanism. Okay, so there are three cases under which reverse charge mechanism would be applicable. One is that when the unregistered dealer supplies goods to registered dealer. Second one is that in case of e-commerce operator, and the third one is that in case of the goods and services notified by the CBEC. Now here there are important points to be taken under reverse charge mechanism. ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಎಟ್ ಆನ್ ಎವ್ರಿ 20th of every month. Then auto population of details ಇದೆ. So all these are the different requirements of reverse charge mechanism. They have to follow these rules and regulations strictly. The person who is coming under reverse charge mechanism should follow all these rules and regulations strictly. So I hope you can go through these points. It's very simple. Okay, so I hope you understood the concept of reverse charge mechanism, and it is very important while determining the taxability or to determine the aggregate turnover of the SSE under GST Act. Yes, thank you.